this is Ruben from Dutch Round 1. Thanks again for watching. Today we will be speaking about the perfectum in Dutch. First of all, I'll explain you what the perfectum is, how and when we use it. Afterwards, we will be speaking about the verbs hebben and also zijn, which we need to form this time. And then afterwards, I will also teach you how to form the past participle. Beware, this is only for the regular verbs. The irregular verbs, unfortunately, you will have to learn them by heart. Afterwards, we will see some small exceptions in the perfectum, and then we will finish off with some examples. So that's the game plan for today. But before we start, remember to give it a like, subscribe to the channel if you want more content. I would appreciate the support, and it's great for the YouTube algorithm. But without much further ado, let's dive into the perfectum. So when do we use the perfectum, and what exactly is the perfectum? The perfectum in Dutch, we call that de voltooid tegenwoordige tijd. In English we would call that tense the present perfect. Okay, so today we will be seeing a tense which expresses the past. We'll be speaking about the past today. Now we have two times or tenses which we use quite a bit if we speak about the past. That will be the perfectum, so the present perfect, and the imperfectum. That would be the simple past in English. Today we will solely focus on the perfectum. So when do we use the perfectum when we speak about the past? Well, first of all, an expression of a single action in the past. So, ik ben naar huis gelopen. Ik heb een taart gebakken. All of these are single actions in the past. If it becomes a habit, if you do it all the time, then you will use the simple past. But if it's a single action and it happened in the past, then the perfectum is the time of your choice. Now, basically, the second rule is when will we use the perfectum, when will we use the present perfect? Well, if it happened in the past, but the results from what happened in the past can still be seen today. Sounds a little bit weird? Let me make it a little bit easier. So basically, imagine that it has rained, okay? So it has rained, you open your door and you see that the streets are still wet. So there is still some relation in the present of what happened in the past. So then we will use the perfectum. So we would say, het heeft geregend. It has rained. And then basically an undefined moment in the past. We don't know exactly when it happened, and the time frame is not important. For instance, je hebt me gebeld, you have called me. When? I don't really remember. So the time, we don't know the time is not so important, so we will use the perfectum. Okay, so now we'll speak a little bit about the verbs which we need in order to form the perfectum. Okay, so the first verb you see is the verb hebben. About 95% of the times when you will be forming the perfectum in Dutch, you will use the verb hebben. Okay, as you can see on this image, you see the infinitive hebben. Then on the left side, you see your personal pronouns. Ik, jij, je, u, hij, zij, ze, het, wij, we, jullie, zij, ze. And then what tense will you use in order to conjugate the present perfect? The perfectum, well, you will look at the light blue column where you see the T and the T. That is the present tense. So basically, it's very similar to English. For instance, I have walked. That would be in Dutch, ik heb gewandeld. Okay, so hebben will be your auxiliary verb, and it will be conjugated according to your subject or according to your personal pronoun. So that is the first part of the perfectum. The auxiliary verb, and the auxiliary verb will be hebben. This will be together with your subject in front of the sentence. Okay, then we have another one, and the other one is the verb zijn. The verb zijn is to be. We don't use it that much. However, there are some verbs which always go by the verb zijn. For instance, the verb worden, to become, I have become, is ik ben geworden. Then there's 2 or 3 rules when we are going to use zijn instead of hebben. I will make a separate video regarding the use of hebben and zijn in the present perfect. So stay tuned and check out this video for more information about this difference. Now zijn again, so you look at zijn. On the left side you see your personal pronouns. Ik, jij, je, u, hij, zij, ze, het, wij, we, jullie, zij, ze. Again, what tense are we going to use? We are going to use the present tense, so the light blue column, and that will be ben, bent, is, zijn, zijn, zijn. So as I've said, I have become, that would be ik ben geworden. So zijn can also be an auxiliary verb for the perfectum. Okay, again, as with hebben, we will place it next to our subject in the beginning of the sentence. And now we will take a look on how do we form the past participle. What is the past participle? Well, if I would say to you, I have walked, I have gone, I have seen, I have bought. Now, walked, gone, seen, and bought would be your past participle. So how do we form that in Dutch? Well, if you look at the example, we are going to take the verb werken, all right? Werken, we have to look for our base of the verb. Okay, our base of the verb, how do we find the base of the verb in Dutch? Well, we take away en. Okay, so the base of the verb werken is werk. Okay, so what will we do? In front of werk, we will write ge and we will pronounce it as ge. Okay, so that's the first part. That's the first part of constructing the past participle. Then we go back to our base of the verb and we kind of look at the last letter of the base of the verb. In this case, it's a K. Alright, and then there's a rule. Okay, the rule is soft ketchup. This is a phrase, and if the last letter of the base of your verb is part of the consonants of soft ketchup, you will add a T at the end of your past participle, as is the case with werken, because K is part of soft ketchup, so you will add a T. Okay? Do not forget to add the X. Before we would use sexy foxgaap, but then they kind of change it into soft ketchup. So also think about your X. For instance, the verb faxen, you will say gefaxt. Fax is with an X, that's the base of the verb, so you will add a T also. So soft ketchup, but there also should be an X. Alright, and then basically we have luisteren, we do the same thing. Okay, how do we find the base of the verb? We take away en, we have luister, perfect. It ends with an R. Is R part of soft ketchup? No, no X neither. So in this case, we will add a D. And of course, we cannot forget to put GE in the beginning. So our past participle would be geluisterd. So gewerkt, geluisterd. Both of these verbs, as the majority of the verbs, go with the auxiliary verb hebben. So the complete tense would be I have worked. That would be ik heb gewerkt. I have listened. Ik heb geluisterd. Okay, so now I want to speak about verbs such as proeven, durven, and reizen. Proeven means to taste, durven means to dare, and reizen means to travel. Now, in order to find the past participle, as we did on the previous slide, we need to find the base of the verb to figure out whether we must add a T or a D at the end of that past participle. Now, if we take away en, in order to find the base of verbs which are having the letter V, we will change that V into an F. So, maybe more practically, proeven, we take away en, our last letter normally would have been a V, but for pronunciation's sake, we will change that V into an F. Same thing for verbs which are ending, or the base of the verb which ends with Z. That Z will become an S. So reizen, we take away that en. Reis doesn't really make sense pronunciation-wise, so we change that S, that Z into an S. Okay, so then you'll be saying, okay, the last letter of the base of the verb is an F and an S. That is part of soft ketchup. So we have to add a T. No, this is an exception. So basically what you need to do, instead of adding that T, you will add a D. So be careful with verbs where the base of the verb ends with a V and with an Z. You will change that V into an F. You will change that Z into an S. You'll be tempted to add a T. No, it should be a D. Alright, so this is the explanation for these kind of verbs. And then basically we will look at the past participle now for verbs which are starting with BE, VER, ONT, HER and GE. Of course in Dutch we'll pronounce it as be, ver, ont, her, and ge. Okay, so for these verbs we will not add the ge prefix in the beginning for pronunciation's sake. I mean, imagine if you take the verb betalen, okay, so we'll do the whole thing. Betalen is going with the verb hebben, okay, so that would be our auxiliary verb. Then we look at the base of the verb, we take away en, okay, it's a long sound, so we have to add an extra vowel, okay. We have betaal. L, is it part of soft ketchup? Not really, so we have to add a D. Okay, now will we put GE in the beginning and would we say gebetaald? No, that just sounds bad. That doesn't really sound correct in Dutch. So basically we will leave out that ge and we will say ik heb betaald. I have paid. Herhalen, the same thing. Look for the base of the verb. Herhaal, L not part of soft ketchup. So you'll add a D. Geherhaald, pronunciation wise, doesn't really sound correct. So we forget about the ge. So with verbs starting with be, ver, ont, her and ge, please do not put ge in front of these verbs when you put them in the perfectum. Okay? And then I'll give you some examples and I want you to look at the structure, okay? In English, you would say, I have made a drawing, okay? I have made a drawing. Your auxiliary verb, which is have, and your past participle, which is made, are together, okay? In Dutch, we don't do that. In Dutch, we will put our past participle all the way to the end, okay? So you will say, ik heb een tekening gemaakt. Okay, to give you a bad English translation, but so that you can understand the structure, you would say, I have a drawing made. That is basically how it is expressed in Dutch. So your past participle will go all the way to the end of the sentence. As you can see also for the second example, jij hebt me gebeld. You have called me. Okay, jij, subject, heb, your auxiliary verb, and then gebeld, that would be your past participle, is split up and is put at the end. For the third sentence, exactly the same. Hij heeft de rekening betaald. He has paid the bill. Hij, subject, heeft, your auxiliary verb, and then de rekening, in this case that would be your object, and then betaald, that is the second part of your perfectum tense, your past participle. So please, this is difficult for foreign speaking people because there's not many languages which put the past participle all the way to the end. However, in Dutch, we do it. Try to master this because if you can, you will sound a lot more native when you will speak Dutch. The next one is wij hebben een huis gebouwd. We have built a house. Jullie hebben veel gewerkt. You have worked a lot. Zij hebben naar de radio geluisterd. They have listened to the radio. Okay, so these are the examples. So what I want you to take away from this, put your past participle all the way to the end and your auxiliary verb, hebben or zijn, again, 95% will always be hebben. You will put it in front of the sentence next to your subject. So basically this was the lesson for today. I want to thank you again for watching. I appreciate the support. I appreciate you coming by. Please do not forget to subscribe for more content. Give it a like. It's completely free and it really helps out the channel. As for me, thanks again for watching. I hope that I made your life easier in the learning process. And as always, keep it 100 and see you for the next episode of Dutch Round 1.